What's good, my man of society? It is your host with the most, Shadowloke, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It's absolutely free. That is how you help my channel get into the algorithm. I would highly appreciate if you guys go ahead and do that. It don't cost nothing. It's free. Join the madness. Now, what I wanted to get into was a question I was asked actually by Mr. Pasa. Shout out to him. Solid individual, right? He had asked me, what are my thoughts on. Oh, but before we get into that, to Alex Jones, Mom, don't trip. I seen your comment. I'll be dropping the video on the what you had asked about Michael Jackson. So don't trip. That was coming. I got you. But Mr. Pasa had asked, what are my thoughts on Marvelous? Marvelous Inc. Right? What's my thoughts on about him saying that most of our genes or our genetics come from our fathers, right? That our DNA is from our father, right? What's my thoughts on that, right? Our lineage, pues. Your lineage comes from your father, not your mother, right? That your mother just houses the, sperm in there, but all your lineage comes from your father, which is not true, right? But I'll go into the details on that, right? Because we're talking about DNA, and it gets kind of complex, right? Because when we're talking about DNA, we're talking about chromosomes, right? Chromosomes is what makes up your DNA, right? It's within your DNA pattern, and each we contain up to it's a set of 23, right? So 46 in total, right? And each set of chromosome contains up to thousands of of little cells, right? Which are your gene cell pool, right? And most people share this. I know it sounds like a lot of numbers. I'm throwing a lot of numbers out there, right? But it's really basic stuff, right? Because most humans share, these genetic, characteristics, right? So it's only when we're talking about what makes you, right? Your DNA, your looks, and all of that. It's only a small amount compared to the overall, that you will see the difference in DNA, right? That's how you can tell whose DNA belongs to who, right? That's how you know that people's DNAs are different, right? Because, you'll have those slight differences in everybody's DNA that makes them unique to themselves, right? But you do inherit 50% of the DNA from your mother and 50% of the DNA from your father. This is true. Now, why people think that your lineage only came from your father because before they used to think that that's what it was, because most males get when it comes to males, you get all your white chromosome from your father. That's what comes from your father, right? That's what was thought before. Because one thing people have to understand about science and history is that not everything is set in stone when it comes to history and science. Not to say that the history is wrong or the science is wrong, right? But just the details of the science and the history may be, not going to say wrong, right? But because these are all just our theories and hypotheses, right? Like, these are just what we think, right? When it comes to details, overall, we have the understanding, right? Like, for example, how could I say? When somebody commits a murder or crime, right? The cops know maybe why they did it and the outcome, right? The crime scene. But they might not know, they might have an idea of how it happened, right? Like what transpired. But, let's say the crook says, well, no, it actually happened like this. So the details were maybe not 100%, right? But the overall idea was on the dot, right? They knew, that he committed the crime and whatever. Maybe they didn't know exactly the details. The details were not, 100% right? But at the end, what truly matters is this, right? The outcome, and that's what's really important, right? So we have an understanding of that, but maybe the details we don't get 100% right when it comes to history and science. Not everything is set in stone, right? That's a beautiful thing with science and history, is that we keep learning as time goes, right? We become more now educated on things and have a better understanding on stuff, right? So that's not to say that it's not right? That's why history and science has been evolving with time, right? That's why, people, maybe thought before it was like this, but then it turns out it was like that, right? Not to say that they were wrong, right? But, that when it comes to the overall details of things, they weren't, 100% sure, but they never say they are, right? That's why they only give you a percentage. They never say that, no, this is exactly, you know what I mean? They just give you this is what we think. That's the importance in science and in history. That's why they make sure they let you know, well, this is what we think is going to happen, or this is what we, But like I said, these are just, ideas, right? So same with DNA, right? People used to think that it came from the father. So that's what was thought before, right? But now with time and our better understanding of DNA and how it works and everything like that, we now realize that we mostly get most of our DNA from our mothers, right? Through the mitochondria, right, of the female, right, which is it's a very powerful cell, right? So you mostly get a majority of your DNA from your mother than your actual father, right? But before, they used to think it was your father, and I can see why someone will still think that now, right? Those who choose to be, I'm not gonna say male chauvinist, right? But those who prefer it to be a man's world, right? Or have a problem with it being a 50-50, or like, because there is people that want to feel like the man should be in charge. I'm not saying that Marvelous is one of them, but I'm saying that there is maybe those who gave their ideas of the science of the male lineage and everything like that, because that's how a lot of science used to be run before. A lot of people were biased, right? Because they had their opinions on the man should be on top and the woman should be at the bottom, right? Even when it comes to intelligent people, I mean, you're not gonna, there's just happens to be some individuals that have a way of thinking, and these are different times before and stuff like that, right? So as time goes on, we have a better understanding now that we go in there without a biased opinion, right? So this is why we have now, maybe before they were just looking, they maybe didn't want to see exactly the whole picture for what it was, because they were just happy and satisfied with what was this, right? Because there's some people, when it comes to digging in for information, they stop wherever they feel like this is what they want it to be, right? Instead of like keep digging and really explore every avenue. They're satisfied with this answer, so this answer will be the answer, right? When you have to look at other things, right? But like I said, whatever people want to live with is the truth, right? So because of that, we get more of our DNA from our mother, right? Because of the mitochondria, right? Because of a process when you swap like DNA between males and females, right? 50-50, right? It goes through a process called recombination, right? Recombination. And with that, that's when you get like, because the male cell, the sperm, and the female's eggs, right, the chromosomes don't match up, right? So instead, what happens in this process of recombination is they start swapping. That's the reason why, you know how you get 50% from your mother, 50% from your father? That's the reason why you and your brothers and sisters don't come looking out like identical, like, hey, if we get 50, how can we look different, right? So in the recombination process, they start swapping. The chromosomes start swapping different chromosomes, right? And the pairs of chromosomes. I know it starts to get complex when I make it like that, right? See, how could I explain it better? Okay, when you grab paint, right? Let's say you're about to paint a painting, right? And you grab like red paint and blue paint, right? And you mix it, not to the point where it's like all mixed together to make a different color, right? But just when you dip your brush in the blue and in the green, and then you start painting, you'll see that your pictures come out different. Like this one's a little bit more greener, this one's a little bit more bluer, or like right here is more darker than over here. And so the paintings don't come looking identical, even though you're sticking your brush from the same amount, from the same source, right? 50% blue, 50% green, right? But you're dipping, right? But it's not really getting, you're getting a little bit more with each stroke, right? And it starts to combine, it starts to fade out. So that's the reason why the paintings don't look identical, right? Like this one's darker here, this one's lighter there. So this is what happens in the recombination process, in the swapping process, right? And that's the reason why you guys end up, looking different. Like you guys look, like brother and sister, right? But you guys don't look identical, right? But they could tell that that's your brother, that's your sister, right? So that's what happens in this process, right? That's why, you look more when you have both parents that are the same than when sometimes you only have your mother the same or your father the same. You guys don't look, that because of the swapping process, right? Because there's so many different combinations. That's the reason why no one's identical and stuff like that, right? And our DNA is unique, right, to us because of the, thousands of different little cells that live within each pair of 23 chromosomes, right? There's so many different possibilities. That's why you have stronger genes here than there and stuff like that, right? But in all true reality, you get, your DNA is from both parents. But yes, before they used to think that it only came from the males before, right? But now that we have a better understanding of DNA, we came to the understanding that wasn't, true, right? That's not what we thought, Um, And like I said, but that's the beautiful thing with science. We learn, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, now that it comes out that that wasn't so, and this is not what it is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either way. Like there's no big deal, pues. Like where you get the truth of the matter is you get your DNA from both parents. That's the reason why some males look like their mothers, right? And vice versa, right? But so overall, that's what the science is now. Like this is what I think too, right? This is my opinion or whatever, but I'm not just saying this because this is my opinion. This is what the science is right now. Like you can go argue, like if you think I'm wrong, you can go and argue with all the scientists and what they're teaching right now, right? But this is what it is right now, right? And I know there's some conspiracy theories out there that people think that, nah, they're just trying to lie to us. They're trying to make us into a woman's world and everything. See, there's people out there who have the fear of the male losing his power, right? And then thinking that the worst, right? People that are afraid of change, right? Or just because I'm a man, I want the man to be on top, right? Male chauvinism, just without saying it, that's what it is. The male is not more important than the female. It's 50-50, And I think the day that people could come and realize that, it's the day we will have, peace and harmony. But that comes with everything, not just even when it comes to, male or female genetics, even when we're talking of ethnicity, even if we're talking of just overall personalities, or individuals, right? Like, he thinks he's better than me because he has a better job. Like, when we're all humans, we all need food and water. You know what I'm saying? But overall, ladies and gentlemen, this is just my opinions and what I think. Shout out to the homie, Mr. Paza. Shout out to Marvelous. You know what I mean? Like I said, we're not all going to agree on, everything. And he's entitled to see it his way. And this is just my opinion on what the science is, what it is, right? But, it is what it is. What do you guys think of your opinions in the comments? Shout out.